Good evening, I'm Becky Wilcox, and this is Insight News TV, where we cut through the noise to bring you the stories shaping our world. Tonight, a moment 24 years in the making. Syria's President Bashar al-Assad has stepped down and fled the country after opposition fighters seized control of Damascus. This is a turning point not just for Syria, but for the entire Middle East. His reign is over, but the story is far from finished. Where is Assad now? What comes next for Syria? And how will global powers respond? Stay with us, this is history in the making. For more than 2 decades, Bashar al-Assad ruled Syria with an iron fist, continuing the Assad family dynasty that began in 1970 when his father, Hafez al-Assad, seized power. Together, they turned Syria into a fortress state, crushing dissent and clinging to power through a potent mix of fear, propaganda, and military might. But tonight that dynasty has crumbled. Damascus, the very heart of Assad's power, has fallen into the hands of opposition fighters who are now proclaiming a new era for Syria. The Assad dynasty is one of the longest-lasting regimes in modern history. Hafez ruled for 29 years before passing the reins to Bashar in 2000. What started as a promise of modernization quickly descended into authoritarian control. The Arab Spring of 2011 triggered protests that were met with brutal crackdowns, plunging the country into a catastrophic civil war. For Syrians, the Assad name became synonymous with oppression, destruction, and bloodshed. Families torn apart, cities reduced to rubble. This is the legacy of the Assad regime. And now, for the first time in over half a century, the Assad name has been erased from power. But the question remains, can Syria move beyond the shadow of this dynasty, or will its legacy haunt the country for years to come? Let's talk about the mystery that's dominating headlines tonight. Where is Bashar al-Assad? The Russian Foreign Ministry confirmed his departure from Syria but offered no details about his location. Some speculate he's seeking asylum in a friendly nation, perhaps Iran or even Russia itself. Others wonder if he's in hiding, fearing retribution from those he ruled with an iron hand. And then there's the possibility of betrayal. Has Assad been abandoned by his allies, left to fend for himself in a world that no longer tolerates his rule? This begs the question, what happens to a leader who once wielded absolute power when that power is stripped away? Will Assad resurface, or has he disappeared into the shadows for good? The uncertainty only adds to the tension of this historic moment. With Assad gone, Syria faces an uncertain future. Opposition leaders are already celebrating what they're calling a new dawn. But the path forward is anything but clear. Who will fill the power vacuum? Will it be a coalition government, or will one faction rise to dominate the others? History tells us that revolutions often lead to infighting. Will Syria's opposition unite to rebuild, or will the country descend into even deeper chaos? And then there's the question of governance. Will Syria embrace democracy as many protesters dreamed during the Arab Spring? Or will another strongman emerge, promising stability but delivering more of the same repression? The world is watching, and so are millions of Syrians desperate for a glimmer of hope. We can't talk about Syria without mentioning the role of global powers. Russia, Assad's most powerful backer, is notably quiet tonight. Moscow's involvement in Syria has been controversial to say the least, propping up Assad with military support while facing international condemnation. Is Russia rethinking its strategy in the Middle East? Or is it already working behind the scenes to shape Syria's next government? And then there's Turkey, which has long had a vested interest in Syria's future. With a history of supporting certain opposition factions and hosting millions of Syrian refugees, Ankara's next move could be pivotal. Will Turkey push for a larger role in Syria's reconstruction, or will it exploit the chaos for its own geopolitical advantage? For Syrians, both at home and abroad, this moment is deeply personal. In the streets of Damascus, there are scenes of jubilation, but also trepidation. Many fear what comes next. Years of war have left the country fractured and vulnerable. Refugees scattered across the globe are watching closely, wondering if this is their chance to return home. But what kind of home will they find? Will their dreams of rebuilding be met with open arms? Or will they face new barriers in a country still grappling with its scars? The ripple effects of Assad's fall extend far beyond Syria. The Middle East is already a tinderbox of competing interests and fragile alliances. Will this spark new conflicts, or could it open the door to diplomacy? And what about the broader fight for democracy and human rights? Syria has long been a symbol of the global struggle between authoritarianism and freedom. Is this the moment when the tide finally turns? Tonight, the world is watching as a nation long defined by war and repression faces an uncertain but hopeful future. The fall of the Assad dynasty marks the end of an era, but it's also the beginning of a new chapter, one that will be written by the Syrian people, their allies, and perhaps even their adversaries. The questions are many and the answers remain elusive. But one thing is certain, this story is far from over. Thank you for joining us for this historic and unfolding story. What are your thoughts on Assad's fall and Syria's future? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Insight News TV for more in-depth analysis and breaking news coverage you won't find anywhere else. I'm Becky Wilcox, and this is Insight News TV. Stay informed, stay curious, and stay tuned.